Hello, welcome to the Advisory Services Introduction for Bookkeepers and Accountants. I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. And we are proud to present this Christmas promotional package to you as a service that accountants and bookkeepers could supply to assist your SME clients to navigate the difficult trading conditions that we have at present. So let's go back to why we're really very keen to be supporting the concept that accountants should be offering a wider range of advisory services. I think accountants and bookkeepers have got a decision to make. And to help you with that decision, please consider the warnings that were issued by the then Tax Commissioner, Chris Jordan, at Xerocon 2022, when he said, "You must understand that if your business model is high volume, low margin, simple tax returns, your business will not be viable in 3 to 5 years' time." Now, this is now 1 to 3 years' time, and someone pointed out to me the other day it was more likely to be 6 months to 2.5 years' time. Time's moved on since Chris Jordan made that comment 2.5 years ago. So why offer advisory services? Mr. Jordan continued, "You should be looking to diversify to remain viable longer term." And he added a very important comment: focus on becoming a brilliant and trusted advisor. A brilliant and trusted advisor. Chris Jordan's a former partner of KPMG. So he is from the accountancy profession, admittedly from a Big Four firm, but he understands our profession. And I think he was giving a very important warning to accountants and bookkeepers. Take stock of what you're doing. Take stock of what your clients are looking for, because changes are occurring. So there are many challenges for SMEs, including high inflation rates, high interest rates, business failures. But there's more in the detail. The Australian Small Business and Family Enterprise Ombudsman, Bruce Pennell, released the Small Business Pulse a few months ago. This highlighted that small business conditions have deteriorated 3.5% in the last 12 months. And the business operating environment has been in decline for the past 2 years. The Ombudsman, whose position is instigated by the federal government, funded by the federal government, but operates as an independent think tank organisation for the support of small businesses and family businesses, went on to say, concern by small business owners about their business viability has increased. Fewer small businesses are considering expanding or transforming their businesses as they struggle to stay open. These tough conditions are affecting optimism, with fewer people considering starting a business. Economic activity generated by small business is currently 33% of GDP. And whilst at first glance that looks pretty good, in 2006 it was 40% of GDP. So it's reducing. Small business currently provides jobs for 42% of the private workforce. But back in 2006, this was 53%. Bruce Wilson, the Small Business Ombudsman, indicated last week, and a final problem is that the ATO is in hot pursuit of tax debt, which the then federal government instructed the tax office to be lenient during the COVID crisis. But now the tax office is taking action to pick up the tax that was left swinging in the system, because the federal government needs it, obviously, because they're spending a lot of money, aren't they? So why offer advisory services? The purpose of giving you that background information was to highlight that SMEs need assistance. And I think they need assistance a lot more often than just once or twice a year. I think they need it very regularly. The downturn in small business participation in the Australian economy and the changes outlined by the former tax commissioner not only affect SMEs, but they will affect bookkeepers and accountancy firms all over Australia. If you think otherwise, this webinar is probably not for you, because we're going to outline strategies that we think will assist bookkeepers and accountants to create new activities, new enthusiasm, and new services for your SME clients. Because otherwise, there will be a flow on of the problems affecting SMEs to bookkeepers and accounting firms. Because the tax office are not talking about one or two of the clients of smaller accounting and bookkeeping firms to now directly lodge with the tax office. They're talking about thousands of them doing it direct, because it's going to be so simple for them. And I'm told the figures for this year already are showing that the trend that Mr. Jordan was referring to is very obvious for the 2024 financial year end returns. But this is not the time to turn off services. SMEs need financial input. They really need accounting services. Or put it another way, they really need some advice on financial and commercial matters. I think the key group that could supply those services are bookkeepers and accountants. So why offer advisory services? There was an article in the Financial Review in February this year by the CEO of MYOB, Paul Robson, who said that MYOB had undertaken a detailed review of 1,000 of their clients to understand what was causing them issues in their business operations. And he indicated that they had very little understanding of fiscal management issues as they applied to their businesses. The issues identified in the MYOB review were lack of understanding of suppliers' payment terms. I understand that a lot of these businesses were starting to trade in the anticipation that they would automatically be granted 30-day payment terms. Now, in the current economic environment, with high failure rates of small businesses occurring, we need to make sure that all SME clients understand that their suppliers can be very tough to deal with, which apparently is what MYOB has discovered. And a lot of them are implying cash with order or cash on delivery type terms. So for a business that may have done a cash flow forecast that had assumed that they would be automatically given 30-day payment terms, to find that they were paying cash for those products that they need to be able to sell in their businesses or to make goods from or whatever, was obviously a blow to their cash flow. Lack of familiarity with credit terms. This obviously relates to debtors. One of his other comments was that they had inappropriate systems for control of debtors. Some businesses were assuming they had to give credit to people. Well, they don't have to give credit to anyone. They might miss out on the sale if they don't, of course. But if they're going to give credit, they need to have proper processes in place. Have a credit application form completed by their would-be new customer. And then make sure there's internal checks done on who these new potential customers are. And the final of the big issues that Mr. Robson referred to was not planning for payments to the ATO. And as Bruce Belson, the Ombudsman, has already told us, the tax office are in no mood for excuses from SMEs for late payments. They're looking for those payments to be made. So that's an overview of the scenario. We believe that these comments reflects the current problems confronting SMEs and therefore bookkeepers and accountants as we progress through 2024-25, and half of that period's just about over. So the big question is, what can you do about it? Do you want to do anything about it? That's a fair question. Just because I'm telling you it's an issue, it might mean that you say, well, we're just going to keep on going. We've always done it. If so, good luck. Unfortunately, I think you're making the wrong decision. We've utilised our knowledge of business conditions and the type of information that management teams need to create great businesses that you can subscribe for and utilise with your clients in 24/7, all round the clock, over the weekends if you want to. My experience was I've been the senior partner of an accounting firm that really offered services to clients. That's where we started this whole idea of ESS BIZTOOLS from. But prior to that, I'd had the privilege of being the chief financial officer and company secretary of a listed public company. So I was able to understand how bigger businesses run their activities. And over the years, with discussions with my great mate, Andrew Geddes, one of the founders of the Financial Management Research Centre at the University of New England 40-odd years ago, which set out to encourage Australian accountants to offer a broader range of services than just taxation to SME clients 40 years ago. And we are still trying to achieve that strategy. But it became obvious that I think we need to look at business differently. The big end of town, I found out when I was working in that chief financial officer position in a public company, operate their businesses as a series of small businesses and put in place an area manager and an area accountant and a small clerical team to run that group of businesses. And all the information that gets passed on to the head office, wherever that might be situated. Now, the company I was with, we had 15 area managers around Australia, 15 accountants. In head office, I had 2 other accountants working on various aspects, costing and financial control. And each week, the 500 plus business activities that we had, a weekly performance and profitability report was prepared. And the real reason for that was that at the end of each week, a stock take, in effect, was able to be taken. The area manager sat down with the accountant in the area and the individual managers of the 20 to 30 or 40 business activities that area manager is responsible for on a Tuesday afternoon and went through the results with them. And if there were anomalies, and we were in the meat industry, so a lot of it was retail butcher shops. So we had gross profit percentages budgeted into our system. We knew what they should have been. So if the overall gross profit percentage was estimated for that shop to be 32% for this week, and it came in at 21%, there was an immediate review as to what went wrong. It wasn't human error. Was something not done? Wasn't the stock take conducted on Saturday afternoon at the end of trading? And a guesstimate had been put in. That might have been the reason. Well, we could relook at it the next week to see if it had fixed itself. But it could have been something more serious. There could have been fraud. There could have been inappropriate procedures taking place as far as production's concerned. But the important thing was it was examined. What do your clients do? Do they even know that variation's occurred? They won't know unless there's an accounting person in there pushing the issue, not solving the issue. Because in most cases, you would not be butchers or greengrocers or experts in retailing or whatever the operation is, running a tradie business. This applies to every type of business, that you can then examine the results. And that's the big contribution that I think accountants could be playing. So within the ESS BizTools system, we have built this round that this is a on-demand product that you can just go to your computer screen and click on for what you want immediate access to. And it's available to you 24/7. So you receive a weekly grant report, normally on a Monday, probably in an hour or so's time, you'd be getting the weekly grant update. That's a summary of what's going on in grant land around Australia. There's hundreds of grants from the Australian, state and territory governments. We have about 25 podcasts annually on issues confronting SMEs that you could send around, put on your website. We produce monthly members alert. That's just an internal communication to our subscribers, highlighting key issues. We have a briefing on a monthly basis, 30 to 60 minutes on issues of importance to accountants. That's only to our subscribers. There's 10 training sessions a year of about 45 minutes, sometimes 60 minutes, all presented on a group basis. So all of our subscribers in that category, plus others. And we send you the training video after each session, because we know that everyone cannot attend when we set the time for training. So you can sit down and work through it. Communication's vital in all this. For 40, 50 years, Australian accounting industry has been delivering tax returns using computers, and as gradually developed more advanced services. But the SME market has really got used to the accountants only do tax. I've had people in the street say to me, oh yeah, but our accountant only does tax. I think we need to communicate to the SME community that accountants can provide a lot more than just tax. So we started 17 years ago a monthly newsletter, Business Plus, which contains 4 to 6 articles each month that you badge the newsletter with your firm name, you send it round. Preferably you should read the newsletter before it goes out, because it's going out in your name now. And I would like you to have made a note of which article might be of interest to which client, because the articles are varied. We try to vary them so it meets all types of clients. A startup business, someone that's been operating for a year or so, someone that might be getting ready to do research and development, someone that might be looking to want to scale up considerably, someone who's looking at succession planning issues, someone that you've done some funding projections on their cash flow and have told them that what they're wanting to do, they need more money. So perhaps they're interested in trying to raise capital. So there might be an article on crowdsource funding equity raising. I try to write all these articles as being a call to action for your client to read it and say, gee, that's what I want to do. So I try to put my experience of having acted for hundreds of these SME clients, all wanting to do some of these things. How do we get through to them? So that they ring, pardon me, that accounting firm, your firm, and seek some advice. So that's the newsletter. We have client seminars that are pre-prepared that you can utilize the material, just change the badging. But the other great group that's got to be prepared, so we've informed the clients through Business Plus newsletter and seminars. You've now got to prepare your team. That's very important. So in the package, there's 13 modules to take your team through the training process. I tell people to play it out over 3 months, but some of them do it in a couple of days. They just say, no, we're going to have 2 days and we're going to go through it and we'll get set. You also get access to a library of articles, about 350 papers in there for the starter package. Pardon me. And for the advisory intro package, which you can use. You also receive material that is prepared for you ready to use to undertake your due diligence review on the client. Because if you're going to be actively involved to deliver a virtual CFO service, and that's what this advisory intro package is gearing you up to be able to do, to get you started. You need to know more about the client than what you might know at present, because if you've only been doing tax, to offer this broader range of services, you need more information. We think you need to understand your client 1 inch wide and a mile deep. We've got material in the system to help you plan the preparation of business plans. So you've got some preliminary material there to help you. And to plan an annual strategic planning event with your client. And we've got material which will assist you to understand the predictive accounting process, budgets, key drivers, debtors, creditors, stock, capital expenditure, research and development type things. So that there's separate sub-accounts for all those items. Cash flow forecast, projected balance sheets. And fundraising is very important for SMEs. When I first started giving this type of advice, which was a fair while ago now, Section 708 of the Corporations Act was the only way that we could raise capital. But now we've got early stage innovation company and crowdsource funding equity raising. It's great, but not enough accountants are aware of it or using it, and therefore not enough SMEs are aware of it or using it. There's people out there prepared to invest. So with very little promotion, over $420 million has been invested by Australian people, 72% classified as retail investors, the balance, 28% sophisticated investors. They've invested it in young companies, turnovers under $25 million, without little promotion. How much better could it have been if the accountancy profession had got behind and helped prepare clients? Sure, your client needs to want to raise capital and is happy to have other people on their share register. But in lots of ways, that's an education process, and we've got all that included in the material. So there's various business activities that you'll have the resources to give some advice to your clients on: business investment, starting a business, buying a business, sole traders, partnership, discretionary trust, company types. Now, all this is available on your screen, so you just click onto it and can answer questions. That's what we want to empower you with, the ability to be able to quickly answer questions your clients might have. And one of the big areas that we've found over the years that SMEs need advice in is how they charge their services. So we've developed the tradie charge out rate calculator, which is the most popular product we have for our accounting firm subscribers. So the charge out rate calculator is geared to what are they going to charge per hour for their people over the year. That income will be total of it at the end of the day after all the bills are paid, be the amount of profit target they set at the beginning of the year. So if they set a profit target of $150,000, are they going to make it? Our system will help them do that and prove very popular. Risk management, an enormous area. Ignorance is no excuse. And one of the big areas that people are still ignorant about is the Personal Property Securities Register. You need to understand it so you can advise your clients as to whether they should be registering. Research and development is a major activity for a lot of SMEs. Yet a lot of accountants seem to be nervous about giving advice on research and development. I met a chap at a conference in Sydney a few years ago who said, "Oh, I just heard you talking about research and development." "Oh, not for me." He said, "You must be a scientist." I said, "No, I'm not a scientist." He said, "Are you an engineer?" I said, "I've got a brother that's an engineer, but I'm not an engineer. I'm an accountant like you." He said, "Well, haven't you got to be a scientist or an engineer to give advice on research and development?" And I said, "No." I said to him, "You know what really is the category that I think applies to the role that you could play to help your client on research and development?" And he looked at me and he said, "Yeah, what's that?" I said, "Internal auditor." Shocked. I said, "Internal auditor. That's the role that an accountant can play in assisting your client on research and development." He said, "Ah, I get it." I said, "You're there to check that the forms have been completed by your client or his team members or their professional advisors in the scientific area that they've hired. You're not there to conduct the research. You're not there to do the due diligence research. You're not there to write those reports. You're there to assemble them all, because a report's going to be submitted to Oz Industry, first of all. And then they issue a certificate, which you use the number of it in the tax return to claim the tax rebate at the end of the process. What about the Export Market Development Grant? It's a great grant. It's currently open. Mightn't be open for much longer. It opened on the 12th of November. And once the funds are fully allocated, that's it. And this time, for the first time, it's a 2-year allocation. So if you've got a client that's starting export or is already exporting to overseas countries, unfortunately not including New Zealand, and then not including countries that the Australian government's at disagreement with, which is about 3 other countries around the world. But all the others are potential countries that your client can be claiming the Export Market Development Grant. And it's all done in advance now. It's pre-planned and submitted to Austrade, who's the government department involved in this, prior to the expenditure, whereas for the 20 years prior to about 2 years ago, it was the other way around. You spent the money, then hoped you get something back from Austrade. Well, it's now been brought into line with all other government grant programs. And then we got the Industry Growth Program. Now, this has been a bit of a shaky start. It was the replacement for the Accelerating Commercialisation Grant, which operated for about 12 years. I worked on it in its first year because I had been involved as a business advisor to the COMET program, Commercialising Emerging Technology, which was the predecessor to this series of grants. And I know that these grants can really help. the industry growth program has up to $250,000 on a 50-50 basis to help with the preliminaries, getting things ready, getting a prototype prepared. Mightn't be the final one, but it's prepared. The client obviously has to be able to match that. But then there's a massive amount of money, up to $5 million on a 50-50 basis. So it's going to be a good project because the client's got to find that matching amount to actually implement the commercialization. Now, to do that whole process, you need more than an idea because there's going to be a need for a business plan, the budgets, the cash flows, the projections. What's all this about? But you can help. I noticed the other day when I was going through the stats on the industry growth program, $4.3 million had been allocated to a company. Now, the government would define that company as a small company because the turnover has to be under $20 million. So somewhere around Australia, I expect that there is an accounting firm that's quite happy that their client secured that grant because that client will offer all sorts of opportunities for work. And incidentally, this opportunity for work will really benefit your firm when it comes to talent attraction and talent retention. And we also cover the general grant updates. Now, the business systems. ESS BIZTOOLS has adopted the concept that the key system to keep the business running is the 52-week business enhancement system. It's not quarterly accounts. It's not even monthly accounts. It's 52 weeks of the year because there are certain daily reports. Now, you mightn't be actively involved in preparing those reports each day, of course, but you should make sure they're set up. You're going to be the virtual CFO. And then make sure you receive a copy of it to know that the system's working. It might just be a summary of yesterday's sales were this, average gross profit percentage was this, average sale was this. And there might be some other information that the owner or the CEO wants to see. What bank balance, what's the receipts yesterday and payments yesterday. So what's the current balance? What major payments are we going to make this week? So that they've got their eye on the realities. But the key document is a weekly performance and profitability report. I've already mentioned this. The big end of town use this type of documentation very widely. Coles, Woolworths, IGA. I did some consulting work for some of the IGA stores. And I was quite impressed that they've got systems that enables the local manager, owner of an IGA store to be able to analyze the performance of 42 departments, 44 departments in their stores each week, so that they can immediately pick up if there's an anomaly that's occurred. Oh, that's not what we expected. We thought that product was great. We'd make nearly 50%. We've only made 10%. GP. But if you don't undertake this analysis, does anyone know? And that's the real problem. It just stays in the system. And it's at the end of the financial year when you sit down and prepare the financial accounts for your client, you say, geez, your gross profit percentage dropped this year. Overall, last year, you were making 38%. This year, it's come in at 23%. Oh, that's really affected your bottom line. It's too late then to go back and make changes. Whereas if the weekly performance profitability report's been prepared, that information's available by Monday, Tuesday of the next week. Maybe 2 days to check everything, double check and correct it, or agree that we'll really have a good look at what's happening this week to see what the problem is. And it's fixed. It's not left there to continue to cause problems week after week after week, which was what happens in SMEs. The SME failure rate is heading north at a far too high a rate. This will help solve it. There's also systems in there of looking at asset control, cash control, and things like that, which you'd expect. Debtors is another huge area. I referred at the beginning of our conversation today about Mr. Robson from the MYOB comments on debtors. We've got a debtors management system and a systems manual that you will have access to make sure you can develop a customized systems manual for your client. So if your client's got a certain preferences, they call the cash receipt book, for argument's sake, the green book, and they call the something in the debtors ledger, the red book or whatever. It can be customized into the manual. So there's greater confidence by the person that's got to administer debtors as to how it works. There should be an explanation for that poor person. I call that person a poor person because invariably they're just thrown into the corner and said, well, you're going to look after debtors. And they might say, is there a system? Oh, yeah, the system's a few stickers on the side of the computer or on a filing cabinet. There's no way to treat a very high asset. Australia's had the highest debtors days outstanding in the world a few years ago. We got an international award. The last thing a country like Australia should want. International award for the highest debtors days outstanding. Disgraceful. And quite frankly, I think we're probably still way up there. So we also look at cash conversion cycles, so you can understand in talking to your clients and explain to them they buy their stock. It might sit on the shelf for 80 days before anything happens, and then it goes through debtors and everything else. So they're buying something, it might be 200 days before they get that cash back. And it gets it into their thinking then as to what's going on. It might help them to realize where they're going to position stock in their stores. Understanding the various stock classifications, the stars, the cash cows, the problem mines, and the absolute disasters. We look at corporate governance because you'll have clients asking you about corporate governance. Oh, they want me to be a director. Well, what's my responsibilities and duties? Great question. Everyone should ask it. They don't all have to go off and do the Institute of Company Directors course. I've done that many years ago, but everyone doesn't need that, especially if all they're going to be doing is running an SME business. If they're going to try to raise capital from venture capitalists and major investors down the track, but I think they should do it then. But they could do the material that we'll supply to you, that you can go through and give them some guidance. We talk about banks, we talk about assets, duties and responsibilities. And you've got, when I say we talk about it, all this material's in the system. And the financial accounts. The monthly financial accounts are still important, of course, because that's also proving the weekly estimates were correct. Because your clients will be tending to utilize that information to run their business. And you can see there on this, we've got other detailed information relating to debtors and creditors. The research and development analysis. So what you're doing by subscribing to the financial forecasting, to the advisory intro package. I was skipping from our package number 1 through to number 4. Number 4, the financial forecasting package, is bringing all this together with special software developed by Plan Guru, but we're not there yet. We're looking at the basics at the commencement. We need proper systems in place. So are you interested in joining us on this journey? You've learned a lot about your clients, how they operate their businesses. I think your team members will enjoy this journey, and your reputation in the marketplace will differentiate your firm, because you will become known as a firm that help clients run better businesses. I hope you do think that way and that you want to join us. So if you answered yes, look forward to you doing something about it and hoping you will join ESS BizTools. So we have a special offer for you. A 50% discount on the upfront discounted annual payment, inclusive of GST. So it's normally $9.90. We're making it available to you for this Christmas promotion for $495. Now, that's a ridiculous amount, I honestly believe. $1.73 plus GST a week. You've got to be able to pick up $1.73 in services that you supply based on what's included in that package that I've just summarized to you. We cannot go any cheaper. And to be brutally honest, we need to get large numbers of accounting and bookkeeping firms to agree to subscribe to that package to make it worthwhile. Now, we also introduced, though, a 3-monthly access to advisory services, because one of my advisors said to me, people are a bit reluctant on paying for services 12 months in advance. He's the marketing expert. I'm not. So we've introduced the 3-monthly access. That'll cost you $143, including GST. You get everything that we're offering, the training, everything, just for the 3 months. And we'll be back to you saying, now, do you want to renew for the next 9 months? And we will renew for you at the next 9 months on this same offer. So it'll be $495 divided by 12 multiplied by 9. That's what you'll be paying for that 9-month period. Now, we can't get any fairer than that, I don't think. Now, this special offer is available until the 23rd of December. To help you get underway, to help you service your clients. So now's the time for action to help your SME clients who really do need some assistance to help them on this journey. So I'm going to share the screen and on our website now, or on your computer, sorry, you've now got access to our website. And we're looking at the product packages within ESS BizTools. The ones that are coming up here are the financial forecasting ones. There's a lot of them. I'm just going to show you a couple of the packages which you will have access to. The research and development introduction, because I've said to you, I think your role is more as an internal auditor on research and development. Most definitely, you do not have to be an engineer or a scientist. So when you go onto our website, you receive a summary of the product that I've clicked on. And we're now going to download that content. So what we've got here now is a package which is on the research and development. In each one of our packages, we have a procedure control form. So there's the procedure control form for research and development introduction. So this gives you guidance as to what you should do. And there's a procedure control form for the 36 product packages within ESS BizTools to guide you through. Key document is the flowchart 050, so I'm going to go to there. So that's the document I wanted to show you. So there's the flowchart. So this is the flowchart. You could sit down and have a conversation with a client. It comes in and says, oh, one of my team members has got an idea about a research and development. So you can start talking to about it. So yeah, we normally have a project. You might form a small team. There's links here to a paper which we've written, which sets out that you have to be a company. You have to spend $20,000 in the financial year on research and development. Doesn't have to be on only one project. It can be on a dozen. That doesn't matter how many. And we have this concept of BAS forms, business advisory services forms, which we utilize. You have a small team. You do some preliminary investigations. They need to determine whether the entity is going to be eligible. Your client currently might be a partnership. Well, they're not eligible to claim it. You've got to be a company. So they're going to do a lot of this. You might say to them, well, perhaps you should form a company. We talk about prior art searches, which are very important, and they're explained in the system notes. I think this would help. Talk to your clients. There's papers also that they're going to get, paper 052010. They've got to identify core activities. They need at least one to be part of a research and development project. They need to be looking for new knowledge. Can't be repeating knowledge that's already known to mankind. But it can't be known in advance, the outcome. They've got to undertake proper processes. Now, this is all very formalized because it's based on what the government of the day believes that universities and researchers do. They have a hypothesis. So they set out to prove or disprove various statements. You should keep a record of which professional advisors your client's retaining. Well, they should. And there's forms for all of this. You see, everywhere I go, we got form numbers coming up. Reference 5514 covers all those ones. What's your purpose? Checklist. So this is the material that we're prepared to assist you to be able to offer this type of advice to your clients. I hope that helps. There's a range of other forms included here that are listed here. We just click on there to bring up the documentation in support. So that's why I'm saying to you, I think your role is to act as an internal auditor, not just So I hope you're ready to take action. Please go to www.essbiztools.com.au, click on packages and pricing, then click on advisory services intro, and you can then complete the subscription order form. The friendly team at ESS BizTools will then contact you within 24 hours to confirm access, and you will commence on the discovery of journey or additional services. So we look forward to hearing from you, to be able to assist you on this journey. If you need more information, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, and we'll respond to your questions. Or you can telephone me on 0747241118. Thank you for your participation in this webinar. I look forward to hearing from you. And may I take this opportunity of wishing you and your colleagues and your family members a very happy Christmas and a prosperous 2025. Stay safe. Have a great day. Goodbye.